Welcome back to the early edge. The Falcons took a step forward last season, maybe not the step that they thought they would. Finish 8-9 in the year under year one with Raheem Morris. They're now hoping to get their second year of some good play out of Michael Penix Jr. And with that, we will welcome in Claudia Bellofatto and the czar of the playbook, Emory Hunt, here to help us break down kind of a wide open NFC South. So good to see the two of you. Let's start here with Atlanta being plus 210 to win the NFC South, just behind the Bucs there with continuity maybe in year two for both Raheem Morris and Michael Penix Jr. Is this a team to buy low on before expectations can catch up? Emory, I'll start with you.
Absolutely, Katie and Claudia. The reason why we saw this division go down to the wire last year in week 17 or 18 between Atlanta and Carolina. So, yes, with the way the Falcons have improved their roster over the course of the offseason, the draft and free agency, and what they have in tow on offense, you need firepower in the South. This division is going to be extremely competitive, and I like the Falcons to actually win this division. So grabbing it right now at plus 210 is a great value.
Okay, so I feel like last year with Kirk Cousins, everybody thought, oh, the Atlanta's going to be it, and then he struggled a lot. Are they still maybe a year away, Claudia, or are you feeling pretty high on the Falcons as well?
Guys, I usually say every year that I'm not putting any of my hard-earned money on this division because you never really know. But I will say I agree with a lot of what Emory said. There's so much hope when it comes to this Falcons offense. Defense, I think, is still going to be a little bit of an issue, and we'll get to that later on. But the talent is undeniable on offense. You talked about Michael Penix Jr. He's behind a solid O-line, returning the majority of the personnel outside of their center. They have a receiver who finished top 5 in yards. They have an elite pass-catching back. And according to DVOA overall, when it came to their offense, they were right in between, sandwiched in between Philadelphia and Minnesota. And now you factor in the fact that they have the 4th easiest schedule. I think the Bucs have a ton of offensive talent, but they have some issues on defense as well. So I think if the Falcons get their defense right, they could win this division.
All right, you said they have the 4th easiest schedule, Claudia. We look at their win total sitting here at 7.5, overjuiced to minus 145. They got this last year with 8 wins. Before that, they were stuck at 7, it seemed like, for 3 years in a row. Is there value in taking this over?
Well, I don't love to drink any future that's around minus 150 juice. I would go to the over, though, as a play if you can shop around. They lost 6 of their last 8 games, and they still finished with 8. And those losses, they kept close, even with a brutal defense, 4 of them by 1 score, 12 one-score games overall, where they split those. You factor in Penix under center to start the season. Raheem Morris, who you mentioned, has a year under his belt, and they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. They should hit this over, which is why it's juiced. I just don't love drinking the juice, Katie.
All right, Claudia doesn't love drinking that juice at minus 145. So, Amory, if I know you well, how about an alt? How about we jump this up? How many wins do you think that they could get?
I told you I'm the type to hit on 20. So when you look at this over 7.5, like, man, push that up to 9.5. This team could win 10 games. What was so frustrating last year, Katie and Claudia, about watching this Falcons football team was how much of an anchor it was to have Kirk Cousins at quarterback. So we were like, man, just go to Penix, go to Penix. And as soon as they go to Michael Penix, the offense looks better. They start winning games, and now they find themselves in the thick of the NFC South race. So you factor in a healthy offensive line, a revamped offensive line, improved defense, Michael Penix out there from start to finish. This team should win 10 games, even in this division that's with the Bucs and an improving Carolina Panthers team and the Saints defense that should be very good this season. But overall, because they're doing the right thing and starting the right guy, this team definitely is going to crush 7.5. But the juice, like Claudia talked about, is a little bit too much. So push it up to 9.5 and then take that over.
Okay, definitely more value with that one. A little scary, I will say, but I'm rocking with you on this one. Let's talk about who's at center. You still got Kirk Cousins there, paying him a pretty penny, but Michael Penix Jr. is expected to start again. Emory, with more time to grow in the system and some upgraded weapons that they have, what kind of leap can we expect from Penix Jr. This year?
A great one, because we all watched the Falcons game where, Kirk Cousins threw the 2 of the worst interceptions that we saw him throw probably in his career. One was a pick 6, and it was like, yo, you got to do something. So having the better player out there will net a positive result. That's why I'm so high on this Falcons team. And football is all about playing the best player. You can't hide talent. as much as people want to say, well, this guy has experience or whatever, whatnot, put the best guys out there and the chips will fall how you want them to fall in the positive direction, which they will for Atlanta.
All right, Claudia, I'm looking at your notes here, and it says in all capital letters, he's the guy. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins has played 13 seasons. Emory and Katie, Michael Penix Jr. is already 25 years old, and the numbers don't lie. There is no reason to delay the inevitable. With all due respect to Captain Kirk, everybody wants Penix under center, and he should be under center. It's a small sample size, but they scored almost 100 points over the final 3 games with Michael Penix Jr. Granted, it was the Panthers, the Commanders, and the Giants, but it was more than they scored in the 5 games before that combined. And if we're talking about the locker room, do you think Drake London, who had 31 targets, almost 300 yards over the last 2 games, is mad? Or Kyle Pitts, who I still think has a lot of untapped potential and would thrive with a dynamic quarterback like this, is he going to be mad? Or Bijan Robinson, who ripped off 6 touchdowns over the final 3 games with Penix under center, is he going to be mad? No, I think that the locker room's going to be just fine, and this team's going to be a lot better off with him.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to seeing the Netflix series Quarterback to just see how that all broke down between, Cousins getting benched for Penix and what that looked like. But Claudia, he's the guy. And like you said, everybody on that team definitely wants him to start. So how successful is he going to be? When we look at his season-long passing total, 3,400.5, this over minus 115. Are you betting him to hit over that number?
Yes, of course. I mean, we're talking a guy who led the nation when he was in Washington in 2022 with 357 passing yards a game. If you look at those last 2 games with the Falcons, we saw 73 attempts from him. He wants to throw the ball. And you can't look too much into the small sample size with the NFL, but you can look at the numbers that are indicators of what we'll see in a full season, like him averaging 7.4 yards per attempt. If he keeps that up, he'll easily pass it. We talked about the weapons, not just Drake London, but you have Darnell Mooney, you have Pitts, the pass catching back. 200 yards a game would cash this for him. That's very doable. You factor into those games where they're playing from behind. I think it's an easy cash, Katie.
All right, Claudia's saying about 200 yards a game. That should be doable to him. But Emory, as you know, health is wealth in this league. And quarterbacks, once they're down, everything can change. About how many games do you think he's got to play in order to hit this over?
I think he hit this in 14 games. And the 400 of that 34 and a half, 400 is going to go to Bijan Robinson. So that's just straight dump offs and check downs and let him do his thing. So when you look at just from a 3,000 number with Kyle Pitts and Drake London and all those other guys, keep an eye out for Nick Nash, the undrafted rookie free agent out of San Jose State, who's going to be a phenomenal pass catcher inside the red zone. All of that being said, this is an easier number, almost borderline disrespectful for him to go over.
All right. Shout out to San Jose State. Go Spartans, my hometown team. We got to go quickly on this last question here. But Emory and Claudia, you both seem pretty high on what the Falcons can do. So what is something they still need to fix? I'll start with you, Emory.
The defensive pass rush, but I think they fixed it. 2 first-round picks, Jalen Walker and James Pierce. The 2 top pass rushers in the class, arguably the 2, Abdul Carter being the other one. So they got significantly better in that regard. I think that's how they get better as a whole.
Claudia?
Yeah, Jalen Walker falling to them was mind-blowing, so they definitely won that part of the draft. And Emory's right, it's all about defense. Last 4 years, their ratings in DVOA, 31st, 24th, and 29th. I don't know if they can do any worse, and they shouldn't, because on paper, they're much better on defense.